There has rarely been a game series more loved than The Legend of Zelda. Ever since the first game, released in 1986 for the Famicom and a year later for the NES, The Legend of Zelda games managed to captivate people's imagination with its recognizable characters, locations and music. Now, 19 games into the franchise, it continues to innovate with every console generation in beautifully crafted worlds and immersive stories. Not only is it one of the most successful game series ever, some games are considered to be the greatest video games of all time. Many of them can be found in people's top 5 games, including my own. This is where the inspiration for this video started, with my personal favorite, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. As exploration is one of the game's most prominent mechanics, it has been examined and documented top to bottom, inside and out. Yet, a mystery has been hiding in plain sight that continued to elude players several games deep. It's the explosive bomb flower. First introduced in Ocarina of Time, it appears in 13 games that belong to the canonical timeline, including the Nintendo 3DS remakes of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. The bomb flowers in each game have different appearances, but one thing is always consistent: the flower's explosive nature. This is used to blow up rocks, to reveal entrances to caves and dungeons, or to damage enemies. In some games, they are the precious crop of the Goron race, who use it for excavation in their mines. It would appear this flower was only created to be a substitute for bombs in case the player ran out, which absolutely makes the most sense and there is no reason to dig any further. However, it has also changed appearance numerous times, even with some flowers including interesting petals and bright red tipped leaves. Moreover, these distinguishing features are quite consistent when you look at all the variants. I certainly went deep down a rabbit hole for this one, so stick around. Here you see all types of bomb flowers in each game they appear in. Two features stood out to me: the color of the fruit and top of the flower. The fruit with a black and later green color has several yellow stalks with red tips. The fruit with a blue color only has one large yellow central stalk. In the games, these represent the fuse of the bomb, but since these are plants, there's actually a different explanation we will get into shortly. Some blue bomb flowers have 5 white petals, each with a black spot. Of these, there are some with red-tipped leaves, while others lack one or both of these features. The shape of the leaves varies somewhat, though they are most commonly elongated and cone-shaped, and originate from the base of the fruit. The yellow stalks with red tips of the green bomb flowers are reminiscent of the male reproductive part of a flower called stamens. These contain pollen, which carry genetic information. If the pollen come into contact with the female reproductive part of a flower, called the pistil, seeds will be formed in the ovary. This will grow out to a fruit. Once distributed, the seeds germinate into new flowers. The central yellow stalk of the blue bomb flower seems to represent a pistil. What this could mean is that there are male and female bomb flowers, which is very much possible, as there are plants in real life that have this behavior. Dioeci is the term given to plant and animal species that have individual organisms producing either male or female reproductive cells. A well-known example is Ilex aquifolium, or holly, with male and female flowers on different plants. The advantage is that there can't be self-fertilization and instead creates genetically diverse offspring. A downside is that only one individual is able to produce offspring at all. Looking at the bomb flowers, both variants actually produce a fruit, which would contain seeds and, unfortunately, rules out the possibility of dioeci. It would seem that both variants of the bomb flowers are actually 2 different species, but there is an alternative. The green bomb flower has expressive stamens and likely a reduced pistil, while the blue bomb flower has an expressive pistil and reduced stamens. It just so happens that these characteristics are present in some real-life plants. This phenomenon is called heterostyly and is a method for self-incompatibility of genes, typically found in the primrose family of plants. Here, stamens and pistils have different lengths to prevent the plant from pollinating itself. The exact system is tied to genetics, but it is quite a complicated mechanism, too complicated to explain in this one video, so I will leave a link to a more extensive article in the description. What you need to know for now is that there is either a clearly visible pistil or long stamens, just like with the bombflower. These are present in the population of the same species of plant, so it is possible that both variants of the bombflower are also still part of the same species. We're really getting lost in the details, so let's go back to something a little more exciting. After all, the main use of the bombflower is to blow stuff up. It is in a plant's best interest to disperse seeds as far away as possible, some with the use of animals, others by wind or water, and some have evolved in other incredibly creative ways. To go back to the bombflower's most notable trait, its explosive mechanism, there are some fantastic real-life examples. In plants, this trait goes by the name of explosive dehiscence, which is a form of ballistic seed dispersal. As the fruit grows, it builds up internal tensions that are violently released once the fruit is ripe. Possibly the most extreme version of this is the so-called sandbox tree, Hura crepitans. It is native to the tropical regions of North and South America and can be recognized by its dark, pointed spikes on the bark. The ripe fruit is pumpkin-shaped, and a strong enough disturbance releases the internal tensions. Once it explodes, it launches seeds at a staggering 70 meters per second, 230 feet per second, which can end up 100 meters, 330 feet away. Just look at this video. Such force could certainly do some damage if you stood right next to it, giving the tree the nickname of Dynamite Tree. While this isn't accompanied by fire and smoke, there is definitely some truth to the existence of exploding fruit. What I didn't yet mention is that the sandbox tree belongs to the spurge family of plants, and there is a species within this family that gets impressively close to at least the green variant of bombflower. Euphorbia heterophylla, sometimes referred to as Mexican fireplant or wild poinsettia, is a curious plant with some similarities to the bombflower. First and foremost, though small, it has round, three-lobed green fruits that release seeds by explosive dehiscence. The upper leaves at the base of the fruit are elongated and arranged opposite each other, sometimes with a larger leaf on each end, as seen in this image. However, leaf shapes can vary a lot, even within the same population. This is exactly what is seen in the games, especially for the bombflower in Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask and Triforce Heroes. In Ocarina of Time, it can only be found growing on that mountain, where they are often found underground in dim-lit or heavily shaded areas, since they are sensitive to sunlight. This is also the case for Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages, where in both games the bombflowers are found underground. In Majora's Mask, they appear inside Woodfall Temple, and again on top of the mountain at the Goron racetrack. The fireplant also prefers shaded areas, and is native to tropical areas in the Americas, where it can be found from sea level to 1400 meters, 0.87 miles elevation. It is considered a weed, for a single plant can have 100 seeds at any given time, and these seeds can grow into flowers in just 1 month. It's obviously not as quick as the bombflower, but still rather fast for a plant nonetheless. There are even plants in the game that grow just as quick. However, the one aspect that confused me the most was that the green bombflower doesn't have flower petals, something you would expect, also given the inclusion of them with the blue bombflower. Flowers without petals is actually characteristic in the spurge family of plants, something the fireplant also has. Instead of petals to attract pollinators, these plants have a cyathium. This special type of inflorescence has evolved to form false flowers that surround a cluster of small, actual flowers without petals. The sunflower is a great example, as the center contains multiple sets of male and female reproductive parts without petals that grow the seeds, and the yellow outer flower resembles petals. As for the fireplant, it doesn't have bright fake petals and instead has large nectar glands that attract pollinators. It still does not explain why only stamens are visible on the green bulb flower and not a pistil, but that might be something for the future. As for the blue bulb flower, it is almost the exact opposite of the green variant. It grows in direct sunlight, has a pistil but no visible stamens, and flower petals. Though there is one trait it does share with the Euphorbia species. It's the red coloration on the leaves at the base of the fruit. This red coloration is present in young leaves and will turn green when they mature. Likely the most important factor for this phenomenon is to prevent insect herbivores, like caterpillars, from eating the sensitive young leaves, either because the leaves are not recognized as food or because they don't taste that great. The petals actually have the opposite effect. The spots are part of a real method to attract pollinators by means of insect mimicry. The spots that look like a fly, for instance, attract other flies looking for a mate, or insects that eat the fly looking for its next snack. They land and accidentally touch the flower's stamens and subsequently spread the plant's pollen from flower to flower. Even though the flower's petals and blue fruit is recognizable, I can't seem to find a real-life equivalent. The closest I got was Cistus ladenifer, the gum rock rose. But apart from its dotted white 5-petaled flower, there are no other characteristics that fit the blue bulb flower. If you have any idea, please leave a comment, I would love to know. There is one more aspect I would like to talk about: the lore implications of the distribution of the blue bulb flowers opposed to its green variant. Here you see the canonical timeline of all the games as it appears in the Legend of Zelda Encyclopedia. As the premise of Ocarina of Time contains time travel between the hero's child and adult version, it marks a split for the series. In one timeline, the hero is defeated. In the other timeline, the hero is triumphant, but continues both the child timeline and adult timeline separately. If you place all bulb flowers next to the games they appear in, you'll notice 2 of the 3 timelines contain both variants, but the other only contains the blue bulb flower. This is interesting, as in this timeline, the world got flooded prior to the Wind Waker. As we saw earlier, the green bulb flowers exist mostly below ground, in caves. These were likely flooded and only the blue bulb flowers remained high up in the mountaintops that are now islands in the Wind Waker. In some games, the green bulb flower also exists in the mountains, so maybe they are around, just not a lot of them, and they were quite rare to find them there on the surface to begin with. As you might have noticed, there are 2 blue bulb flowers not yet discussed, the ones without flower petals. One in Four Swords Adventures, though the most notable is the variant in Skyward Sword. It lacks flower petals and appears both below ground as it does on the surface. It seems to be a strange blend of the previously discussed bulb flowers, the green variant's leaves and lack of petals, and the blue variant's color and pistil. This tells me that the green and blue bulb flowers in the other games might have evolved from the variant in Skyward Sword. It's a stretch, even for this already convoluted video, but that kind of comes with the Legend of Zelda timeline. In any case, the developers really thought about the appearance of the bulb flowers in the series, and with Skyward Sword being the first in the entire timeline, it seems appropriate to have a bulb flower that resembles both variants, almost like her predecessor, maybe. It is just such a staple in the Legend of Zelda series, but I never would have thought how deep it would go. I do believe the Fireplant resembles the bulb flower's characteristics the most, but it's an interesting plant in its own right. I try to incorporate every game the bulb flower appears in, but there are still pieces of the puzzle that don't seem to fit, like why in certain games the bulb flower can be found near lava, while in others it grows on the top of a mountain in the snow or down in the sunny desert. There are also topics I haven't talked about yet, like the bomb flowers being used to make clothing, or the giant variant in A Link Between Worlds. Maybe we will get back to it in a future video. For now, I would really like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. While I am unable to make them on a regular basis, I continue to find interesting plants and games to explore. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. Next video should be a bit easier to understand. See you there.